Welcome back to the channel. Now you love it or hate it, and you probably hate it. Naruto and Sasuke both haven't had a great time in Boruto. Naruto has lost Kurama and Sasuke has lost his rinnegan eye. The one thing everyone has been talking about is who's stronger now that both characters have been nerfed. That's why we're here today. Both of them have been hit with the Nerf hammer, and they've been hit pretty freaking hard. After the latest fight with Ishiki, Naruto has lost Kurama, who besides being a source of power was one of his oldest friends. What happened next was more questionable. Momoshiki possessed Boruto and somehow got the jump on Sasuke, taking out his rinnegan with a kunai. While it is ironic since that's how Sasuke destroyed Momoshiki's rinnegan, it wasn't exactly a high point for the series. Still, no matter how it happened, both Naruto and Sasuke have lost a lot of power they used to have, the power they worked for years to get. So the obvious question is, just who is stronger? Now, let's start off with Sasuke. Losing the rinnegan is no joke, since he's now lost all of his rinnegan powers he used to have. This means he's also lost his transportation jutsu, the one thing he kept spamming no matter what the occasion was. The one thing that was so broken it almost gave Ishiki a heart attack having to deal with it. That's gone now, which means all Sasuke has to rely on now are Mangekyo powers. One thing to note though is that Sasuke should be able to still use his ridiculously strong Perfect Susanoo. That isn't really something tied to the rinnegan, since Madara didn't have any problem using it when he didn't have any eyes at all. That's at least something that makes Sasuke a force to be reckoned with, even now. Besides, it's not like the regular Mangekyo abilities are weak. He can still use Amaterasu. Yes, that has been overshadowed lately with everyone and their mother being able to absorb jutsu, but it is still an instant one-shot if you can't do that. The Susanoo and the Amaterasu would still make him one of the strongest people on the planet. Oh, and he's still just as fast as he was before. It's not like the rinnegan was helping him with that. Although Sasuke has been keeping up in speed with Otsutsuki characters, literal aliens that no normal ninja is supposed to have anything to deal with. Sure, he won't hit as hard, but it's not like there's a lot of things that can hit him. Now let's look at Naruto. A little bit of a spoiler warning here, but things are looking a lot worse for our favorite Hokage. What does losing Kurama mean exactly? Obviously being a Jinchuriki is a really big power boost, but people underestimate just how big of a power boost it is when we're talking about the Nine Tails. Aside from the 10 Tails, the Nine Tails is the strongest tailed beast by a mile. One tailed beast bomb from Kurama equals several tailed beast bombs from the 7 tailed beast during the war. That's the source of power Naruto is losing. A source only second to the literal 10 tails. So, Naruto doesn't have KCM anymore. That much should be obvious all on its own. No KCM means a lot more than not being as strong though. KCM Naruto is one of the fastest characters in the show, but most of that is simply because Naruto has KCM. He isn't nearly as fast when he's moving around without it. He isn't like Sasuke. Sasuke has repeatedly been shown to keep up with KCM Naruto, but we haven't seen how fast Naruto is without this mode in a while. That almost immediately is a massive nerf to him. Speed isn't exactly the only nerf we're going to get into here. Sasuke has the perfect Susanoo and Naruto has, well, nothing. He obviously can't use his Kurama avatar anymore, and that's a pretty big blow almost immediately. Sure, he is a summoner, he can summon Gamakichi, one of the strongest summons in Naruto. Honestly though, is that anything special when we compare it to Kurama the Nine Tails? There's a reason Naruto hasn't summoned anything in decades, and that's because summons are long since obsolete in this point of the show. Sure, there's still enough to give even Kage trouble, but we're fighting aliens now, not ninja. Contrary to what a lot of people might think though, Naruto still has a lot of absurd amount of chakra. Much of his chakra reserves come from him being a Uzumaki, so he can still spam thousands of shadow claws the same way he could before, just like he could when he was a kid. This, thankfully, should alone be more than enough to still make him one of the strongest characters still living. While Naruto still has a little chakra from all the other tailed beasts, and might still be able to use the tailed beast bombs, there's just no way these are going to pack the same kind of punch they used to. At that point, Naruto might as well stick to his own tried and true Rasengan. The Rasengan in all of its different forms are thankfully something Naruto can still use. This of course includes the Rasengan Shuriken. Now, a lot of people underestimate this thing because it never really got the attention it deserves, but the Rasengan Shuriken is really broken. Seriously, this thing almost instantly one-shots anything it hits, which is why even Madara decided to observe the thing rather than even try to take it on. Naruto can still spam these as much as he wants, so he's never going to have any real problem fighting ordinary ninja. Finally, he is still a perfect sage. While Naruto was helped in his last fight against Sasuke by Kurama observing nature energy for him, there's nothing stopping him from doing it himself. All he really has to do is the same thing he did against Pain, with a clone of his absorbing energy in the background ready to give it to him. Sage mode is one of the biggest power boosts in the series, and it was going to make Naruto practically impossible to fight for anyone that isn't in some way a 6-pass or Otsutsuki character. Still, KCM is a much bigger buff than even Sage mode, and Naruto is going to feel that whenever he's fighting someone really strong. All in all, I give the edge to Sasuke here. He's just less dependent on the rinnegan and still has plenty of the tools that made him broken in the first place. Sure, he can't teleport anymore, but aside from Ishiki, it's not like that was ever really strictly necessary. Naruto is going to struggle more since he spent the entire series depending on the Nine Tails one way or another. That's it for the video. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. Peace.